All right, I'm at the 2026 ICSC Las Vegas conference with Scott Schnuckel, Managing Director of America's Retail at CBRE, and we'll be talking about the evolving landscape of the retail sector. Scott, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Really great to be with you.
Of course. So can you tell us what are some of the biggest changes the retail sector has undergone in recent years, and how have they impacted owners, operators, and even developers?
Retail has operated with tremendous consistency and growth over the last 5 years. Obviously, a very disruptive 2020, but since 2021, retailers have broadly had really healthy growth, and that's been compounded on with landlords doing really healthy things with their shopping centers, elimination of old and obsolete shopping centers, retooling and rebranding and reinvesting in their own shopping centers, and that's led to the really healthy spot we're at today as an industry, which is really low vacancy rates, really good occupancy rates, and a lot of retailers growing.
Got it. What effects are sort of larger macroeconomic trends and also consumer habits and sentiments having on the sector?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a complete overhaul of what's actually going into shopping centers. There's less and less brands that are in shopping centers where you actually walk in and grab a good and walk out. It's a lot more service, fitness, entertainment, things that just help your day be easier rather than a good that you're buying and walking out the door with. And it's been fun to watch retail adapt and trying to make shopping centers more centric in a very new and different way to what the community actually wants. And so I'm sure we don't know what's ahead, but there'll be more of that, I'm sure, to come, where we'll see a retooling and continue reinvesting in what shows up in shopping centers and why.
Yeah, it's a little paradoxical in a way because we're hearing about all this success in the sector, but also this larger, macroeconomic uncertainty and this increasingly bifurcated economic landscape.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a bit about some of the challenges you would say, more acute challenges that stakeholders face today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reinvestment in the stores that retailers have to go through is significant, and that could potentially even be more compounded in the near future with AI and the evolution of how retailers are going to operate. Should make their operations more efficient, but it'll be much higher investment. So obviously the very healthy retailers are going to figure out how to do that very well and make sure the box experience and the store experience is exactly what their customer wants. But the retailers that aren't as healthy and don't have as much investment dollars to go around, it'll be interesting to see how they adapt and try to match, making their store environment what their customer needs.
Yeah, survival of the fittest, really.
Yeah, a little bit of that, for sure.
Sure. Are there emerging opportunities you would see in this space for investors and operators in particular?
Well, investors, there's a huge flight of investor money into the industry as a whole. And that's been a combination of some of the stuff we already talked about with vacancy rates being low, really high stability. It's also in part due to some of the other sectors having a little bit more of a struggle than they traditionally had. Office still is a little, everyone's trying to figure out what return to work is. And that's having a lot of impact on multifamily and where in which markets that was going okay and not. So retail is a preferred asset class now where it hadn't been historically. So there's a lot of large institutional funds looking much harder at retail to invest in. And so that's making for a very competitive space around buying shopping centers that are listed for sale and, figuring out how to price it right.
Sure. Are there any areas of the sector that you feel are underappreciated at the moment in terms of maybe regions and sort of subsectors of the asset class?
I don't know. It's been really broad democratic growth, across the whole sector. So, not one jumps out to me in particular. To your earlier point, I think it's going to be interesting to see how some of the individual pieces fragment over time as people are able to reinvest and really who's ahead of the game on rethinking their inside the store experience to the new future we're going to have, I think, over the next 5 years as more and more AI stuff infiltrates how we run our lives.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you about that one.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, Scott, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Really good to meet you.